It's the greatest mystery in literary history. A divisive question with highly contested answers. Who was the writer behind the pen name William Shakespeare? Welcome to Don't Quill the Messenger. Here's your host, Stephen Sable.
Hello, my fellow Quillers. Yes, it is really me. I have much to share with you, but most importantly, at this moment, I am overjoyed to be back in this seat recording content. It's not a great guest episode or a profound dive into a Shakespeare text or further aspect of the authorship mystery, but I promise those will be coming again very soon. I already have some great guests lined up to record later in the next couple of weeks, and I'm already planning another interesting bonus feature episode. Which reminds me, if you haven't listened to the latest bonus feature, I have to say, I think you're missing out, because I'm really proud of the details included in that feature surrounding Sir Thomas Hoby, his translation of Castiglione's The Courtier, the Arundel Harrington manuscript, the development of the English sonnet, and the connections you find between the circles of men and women who played a role in all of that coming to be. Everyone you can imagine is involved there. The circles of people, the relationships, the marriages, the cousins, the family ties are astounding when you dive into those two texts, Castiglione's The Courtier and then the Arundel Harrington manuscript. All of the usual suspects are there and involved, except, of course, for one, and that would be good old Stratford Will. Go figure. Anyway, I encourage you to give it a listen. And if you're not already a Patreon member at the serial Quiller level or above, this is a great excuse to take the plunge and subscribe at that level to unlock the bonus feature library. There is so much great content there now, including some of the work I am most proud of as your leading Quiller. So I hope you will consider joining at that level. You will find it worth it. There are, I'd say, 150 hours of bonus feature material there that you can unlock by becoming a serial Quiller and enjoy all of that extra Quiller content. Included in the library are several movie watch-alongs where you can begin a movie on your streaming service or DVD at the exact same time as instructed at the beginning of the episode, and then watch the movie along with my wife Annie and I and hear our commentary about the film throughout the movie while it's playing. And you'll find if you sync it up right at the beginning as instructed that it's scene for scene identical. So the commentary that we are sharing it's like a DVD bonus feature that you find on a lot of DVDs where you'll have commentary by some of the actors or the director about the filming of the movie or certain scenes. Only obviously it's our commentary about the performances, about the choices made in performance, the choices made in the filmmaking, etc. We are planning on doing another one of those, which is most likely going to be A Midsummer Night's Dream, featuring Kevin Kline, Michelle Pfeiffer, Stanley Tucci, and the myriad of other stars who show up in that film version of that play. So watch for that to drop in the near future. Well, as you can tell, I have come out of my recent cancer surgery, and I am on the mend. It was a very extensive surgery. I was in the operating room for 5 hours. The tumor in my neck under my jaw was much larger than they thought, and it had aggressively started to attack all of the tissue around it, including a section of my mandible, which had to be removed, which included some nerve damage. So if I sound different, it's because my lower bottom lip has lost all feeling, and that will not return. It's something I must learn to overcome and speak around for the rest of my life. They made 3 major incisions, which required 48 staples to put me back together. The first week or so, I looked like Frankenstein's creature. It was very frightening to my children, who had a very difficult time looking at me for a while until after the first week when they removed the staples, and then the second week as the scars started to flatten a little bit. There's still a long time of recovery ahead of me, and there is some disfiguration and some very real lasting side effects, but by the grace of God, I am here with them, I'm here with my wife, and I'm here with all of you. I want to thank all of you who shared your prayers and thoughts and encouragement and positive energy. I believe in the Lord, our God, creator of the universe, and I believe he listens, and I believe those of you who believe in him helped influence that, and those who don't, I believe you just sending your positive energy and encouragement helped me and made it so that I could be here right now. So thank you all very much. Once they were inside my neck, they found a second tumor that had attached itself to my jugular vein. So they had to remove a section of the jugular vein and stitch it back together. Had it grown much larger, my surgeon says it would have infiltrated my carotid artery and I wouldn't be here. So in a way, the first larger tumor helped to save me from the smaller one that they really didn't see in the scans because of how close it was to the artery. So everything happens for a reason. Because of the nerves they had to sever, I will be forever numb, as I said, in the right portion of my bottom lip, which I have to say makes kissing a little weird now. I didn't anticipate that. And I have to learn how to eat real slow so I don't literally chew my lip off of my face. I have pierced it a few times already, and not even noticed until the blood was running down my chin. So that's something of a hurdle. And I can get as many piercings in my right ear as I wish because it has gone forever numb as well. So if you see me in the future, I may look like a pirate. And that will come in real handy in the wintertime when only one side of my head will get cold. As long as I don't get frostbite and not even know it. They say it might take another 6 to 9 months to gain back my right shoulder and neck strength as that nerve recovers from the stretching they had to do to reconnect it. The doctor said, and I quote, he stretched it like a violin string. Nothing like a matter-of-fact doctor, is there? Our good friend Dr. Earl Showerman can relate to that. And speaking of Earl, I want to thank him for filling in for the last regular episode with his guest, Cheryl Egan Donovan. I'm looking forward to Cheryl's new film, as I'm sure all of you are as well. Thank you, Earl. I love you so much. And I love that you are the only person in Quiller history who has guest hosted an episode that did not include me in the episode as a guest. You have and will always stand apart from the rest of the Quiller Nation, my friend. Speaking of future episodes, I received one of very few flat-out rejections to appear from a potential guest recently. As you know, we have been fairly blessed to have had multiple Stratfordian guests appear on the program over the last year or so. It was sort of a goal of mine to start reaching out to Orthodox scholars and try to get them to come on the show and talk about their scholarship and their research. And I'm very proud of the fact that we've been very successful in achieving that. There have been some who have been skeptical about coming on, afraid of some sort of ambush or the evidence, the episode turning into some sort of a debate. But you all know that I have a strict policy that my mother taught me, which is to treat a guest as a guest, be gracious, be polite, and in this case, respectful of the time the guest has offered to spend recording the episode. That's not to say I haven't queried my Stratfordian guests about issues and topics I think their very own research points to as solid arguments against the Stratford man, or as a source of opening the door to skepticism about the Orthodox mythology, or to even suggest that there could have been or may have been some other writer or writers. But I don't attack, and I don't get into a quarrel. Nothing comes from that. We all know in certain Oxfordian circles, there are those who love to spend their time and energy engaging in quarrelsome debates, whether through social media or endless email strains against Stratfordians, against the Ox fraudsters, or even against fellow Oxfordians. Nothing positive ever comes from that type of quarrelsome back and forth, in my opinion. And you certainly don't win over converts through Facebook fights. I have been known to engage in a debate now and then with fellow Oxfordians, including those who consider themselves the leadership of the movement. But I just don't see there's value in endless Facebook battles or, constant email threads that are reply all, so that everyone hears my proselytizing or someone else's. And certainly that's not going to be a positive use of time, but more of a waste of time. I believe, however, that I have successfully caused some of my Stratfordian guests to at least look at the question of authorship in a different or new way through first embracing our common ground by sharing our love for the works and our fascination with the many areas of study the works have opened for scholars throughout the centuries. Look at the string of illustrious professors from all over the world who have visited with us over the past year or so. I'm so very proud of that list. On a few occasions, some of those scholars have at least admitted that anomalies do exist, or have acknowledged that certain questions are indeed very valid. That's a start. On at least one occasion, maybe more, we have created a convert. Not necessarily a convert to Oxfordianism. That can take some time, but at least a convert to skepticism, which is indeed the very first step. It's like the white Zinfandel of the authorship mystery. It's the gateway drug into the deep dive rabbit holes that we all find ourselves going into as super sleuths trying to solve this literary mystery. You all know my philosophy. We each have to take our own journey to what we believe is the truth. I have always seen my position here as one of a sort of a tour guide, opening up the sites, the artifacts, and the monuments, as it were, for others to view and hopefully better understand. If I have inspired others to deep dive or rabbit hole into an aspect of the mystery that is most intriguing to them, then we all win. Because each step into the mystery is a step away from the Orthodox mythology. On occasion, an invited guest has refused because of their insecurity over their mastery of English. I've run into that a few times. Scholars from Russia and Czechoslovakia and even India who have been shy about their ability to record for an hour or so and do so in English in a way that they feel confident. Ironically, many of them I have found speak better English than some people I know who are born and raised here in the good old US of A. But if they're shy about it and they're insecure about it, I understand and I don't press the point. Some have just been shy about being recorded. Sometimes some scholars aren't really the type who want to present their scholarship in any other way but in writing. And others have politely declined with one reason or another. I have nothing of value to contribute. I'm far too busy. I don't believe my work truly connects to what you're doing or the theme of your podcast, etc. There have been a lot of crickets, those who just don't answer at all. I sometimes go back through my list and ask them again, but there are so many others to invite that I often just skip to the next scholar who has completed interesting work that I think you all might enjoy hearing about. This is part of the behind-the-scenes producing work involved in creating content for the show, finding good scholarship, locating the author of that scholarship, and then reaching out to them with a request to come on the air. Then sometimes it can be a series of back and forths, trying to get a schedule down, finally getting something scheduled, figuring out if there's a time difference to deal with, and oftentimes there is because I've reached out to so many from around the globe. And then finally getting a Zoom link set up and making the connection. Recently, however, I had a professor from England first agree to be a guest and then back out. We corresponded together over several months about her scholarship and set a recording date. The date was moved because of my surgery, and she was very understanding and sympathetic until suddenly I received the email. If I had an echo machine, the email. Bookended with pleasantries, the crux of the email said, "I'm so sorry that I'm no longer able to do the podcast after all." Really, no longer able. Did something happen? What would make her no longer able to do the podcast? She continues, "I've just listened to some of your podcasts, and I realize that you and your listeners are anti-Stratfordians." Really? I don't consider myself an anti-Stratfordian. I consider myself a pro-truth person. I'm not anti anything. I am for exploration and discovery, as shouldn't all scholars and researchers be? Anyway, she continues, "I have no doubt that Shakespeare wrote Shakespeare, and so I don't want to get into a debate about that." Well, of course, I responded with, "That is unfortunate. If you listened to various episodes featuring other scholars from around the globe, you should find that none of my episodes result in a debate. My goal is simply to look at all scholarship on the issue of Shakespeare, present that scholarship, and let others decide what they believe makes the most sense when it comes to attribution of the works. I have no doubt that Shakespeare wrote Shakespeare. I just don't think that history or scholarship has been able to establish a reasonable answer as to who that person actually was. Guillielmus Filius Johannes Shakespeare of Stratford just doesn't fit the mold for me. But that doesn't change the importance or value of the works, the depth of the characters and their stories, or the circumstances the characters find themselves in, the messages that those characters bring to us all through reading the works, and more importantly, seeing them performed. On the contrary, the depth and breadth of those characters shout to me that their creator was an immense genius of great learning and experience, a continental traveler, a consummate Elizabethan courtier, and outright polymath. I'm certain we can agree on many of those points. Nonetheless, if you are unwilling to share your work with my listeners simply because they might believe something different from you, then I guess the discussion is moot. There are many who know what they know. There are many more who will forever continue to seek the map of honor, truth, and loyalty. That's a quote from Macbeth, by the way. I didn't write that, but I figured she should know. It is for that reason that we keep asking questions. Sincerely, actually, you know me. If you've received an email from me, I sign my emails. Evere yours, Stephen Sable. It wasn't insulting or rude, but definitely pointed, I felt. And I figured, well, that will be the end of it. But much to my surprise, she wrote me back. Even though I don't want to do a podcast. Oh, so you see, originally it was, I am not able to. Now the truth comes out. And this is how these scholars work, right? It's kind of sad to me. Truth isn't really truth, is it then? Because now suddenly it's, I don't want to, not I am not able to. Even though I don't want to do a podcast, I would like to thank you for this very thoughtful and gracious email. Well, thank you. I appreciate that you think my email was thoughtful and gracious. I believe it was gracious. And then she writes, you make a good case. Dun, 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 dun. Wait a minute. What? Even though I don't want to do a podcast, I would like to thank you for this very thoughtful and gracious email. You make a good case. Is that an admission? Do you think that's an admission? Certainly, it must open the door to an intellectually honest mind. She is a brilliant scholar. I love her work, which is why I invited her to be a guest. She knows her Shakespeare canon back and forth, there's no doubt in my mind. I wonder now, though, if she has continued to explore our library of episodes to truly get a full taste for what our episodes are all about, and how the other Stratfordians who have appeared on the program have been treated, and how they have shared their work. I wonder if she's listening right now. If so, I want her to know that the invitation to appear on the show is always open to her. So if you're listening, please reconsider. You're a brilliant scholar, and I would love to share your work with my listeners. And we even always plug our guests' works, publications, book sales, etc., their websites, everything, always, every time. And I'm quite certain that some of our Stratfordian guests have seen an uptick in sales after appearing here on the program, as well they should. Often the things I learn from Orthodox scholars provide me with food for thought, new avenues to pursue, and what I often believe to be even further evidence against the Stratford man and more in favor of a courtier poet. As I always say, there is no such thing as wasted avenues in attempting to solve this mystery. Every stone must be overturned. Every stone must be examined. And then every stone must be overturned again and examined by new sets of eyes to make sure nothing was missed the first time, the third time, the 10th time. The true scholar shouldn't care so much that what they find matches what they expected to find, but whether or not what they find helps place a piece into the puzzle or not, even if that piece is in a different section of the puzzle than they anticipated it might be. Orthodox scholars have provided us with many of the valuable pieces we have built upon over the decades. And I believe their work continues to be a source of inspiration and revelation in favor of our cause, which is to get at and share the truth. I also believe that seeds of doubt eventually germinate, as it has been with many Orthodox scholars who have eventually had to admit that the anomalies are too great to ignore. There are more seedling skeptics out there than you think. I happen to believe there are also a great many hidden skeptics who are just too afraid of the backlash and scorn they might receive from colleagues, institutions, or money centers that they depend on, too afraid of being rejected by those institutions and money centers that they depend on to actually risk speaking the truth. Throughout history, we have seen the power of fear of speaking out in every culture, every society, and every part of the globe. Standing up for what is right can be dangerous. Speaking the truth can be dangerous. It can also be career debilitating. It can also be financially destructive. But it is those who take the risk, those who ask the questions, those who bear the scorn, those have been the people in the world who have been responsible for some of the greatest paradigm shifts in knowledge and scholarship throughout all of history. In fact, that is one of the future episodes I am working on. An exploration into a series of historical and scientific facts, I say with air quotes, that people once believed and took for gospel truth until revolutionary scholars, historians, and scientists asked the questions that led to real truth and a turning of the world upside down, or in one very famous case, literally took the world from the center and placed it in a series of concentric rings around a star. Ding, ding, ding. That's a big one. And look at what he suffered. Just for telling the truth. Think about it. Think about all of the instances when mankind believed one thing and then was ultimately faced with a greater truth that changed everything they had been forced to believe as true. And I say forced to believe as true because the threat of denial, the threat of refusal was so great and so tremendous and so terrifying that there were those who dare not speak out, even though deep inside they knew different. Even though deep inside they knew the truth, even though deep inside they knew right from wrong in many cases, but they remained silent because their wallet depended on it. They remained silent because their position depended on it. They remained silent because their status depended on it. There are some who remain silent because their lives depended on it, and I have a greater respect for that, and I can understand that far more. We really even have, if you think about it, recent evidence, very recent evidence, dating back just 5 or so years, of a string of untruths and half-truths that were foisted upon us, which we are now learning more and more every day, just were not accurate at all. But created by those in power, those who had a financial interest, those who had a status interest, those who had a position to defend. And now what are we seeing? Oh, well, we thought that was the way it was at the time. Yeah, but that's not what you said. Yeah, well, but we believed that this, but that's not what you said. Yeah, but the evidence at the time showed, show us the evidence. Well, there was other evidence, but we ignored that evidence because it didn't suit our narrative. Yeah, we're finding that out more and more every day, aren't we, right now? So I like to compare things like that to this. I think the authorship mystery has suffered from that very similar circumstance that we have seen many times throughout history, where there are many, many who know the truth. They're just too afraid to say so. And that's why you, fellow Quillers, are so magnificent, because you're not afraid. You're not afraid to stand for the truth. You're not afraid to say so. You're not afraid to challenge the orthodoxy. You're not afraid to keep asking questions. So, fellow Quillers, watch. Watch for many more exciting episodes to come, including an upcoming guest I don't think you will believe. I'm actually sort of in shock about this guest. So much so that I don't want to curse it by divulging who it is. And just wait. The recording date is set. And just wait. And once it's in the can, then we will announce that it's coming and you can look forward to it, but you're not going to believe it. We have a return guest who has a new exciting title that we're going to explore what that's all about and the job duties behind that. And then we have further scholars from around the world lined up as we continue to explore this mystery. And of course, as we continue to keep asking questions.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, please leave a rating and review in your podcast player. For even more, visit our website, don'tquillthepodcast.com. There you can find official merchandise in our shop, as well as a link to our Patreon. This show is made possible by people like you. We hope you'll consider showing your support by becoming a monthly patron, where you'll receive bonus material and tons of exclusive perks. You can also join in the conversation on our Discord and by following us at Don't Quill the Pod on all social media. All of this can be found at don'tquillthepodcast.com, don'tquillthepodcast.com.
It's Dragon Wagon.